Leon Rocky Edwards, despite all the emotion going in, manages to get a unanimous victory against Colby Covington. Pantoja shows why he's such a dominant force at flyweight. Shavkat extends his finishing and winning record 100% across the board. Paddy Pimblett puts on a clinic against Tony Ferguson, and Josh Emmett delivers one of the most devastating knockouts you'll ever see. This, everyone, is UFC 296, the recap show. Let's get into it. Hello, lovely people. Hope you're well and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all well. Please do smash that like button, switch on the notification bell, and subscribe if you're new. Want to give a special shout out to Luke, Tanner, and Jamie Phillips, who were with me on the Watch Along Show. And shout out to everyone who watched the Watch Along Show, one of our biggest Watch Along shows so far. So thank you so much for the support. We have to begin with the main event. What an emotional week for Leon Rocky Edwards. Going into this fight, we knew that Colby Covington was going to talk trash. It's what he does. It's his stick. Going into that press conference, everything remained on surface level until he made the comment that was heard around the world and has been scrutinized by MMA fans up and down the globe. Some MMA fans turn around and say, well, it's fair game. It's the fight game. Words are words. Others, like myself, say that is way below the belt and where it needs to go. And this is why I say that, and I explain. MMA is a regulated fight promotion or regulated fighting. Therefore, certain words and phrases, like if you're going to go at someone's skill set or whatever, I think or someone as a person, go at the person. I think that's all cool. Relatively. There's certain words and certain things you say when it goes beyond the cage. And we've seen it with Conor and Khabib. Colby went beyond the cage. And I'll be honest with you, the sort of person Leon Rocky Edwards is, if there weren't security there, we wouldn't have had a fight tonight. And Leon would probably be sitting in a jail cell right now. And you'd kind of understand and sympathize with him. Colby keeps stepping over this line. He did it with Masvidal. He did it with Robbie Lawler, with the Matt Hughes situation, the Brazilian fans, Usman. When does it stop? Like, not just for Colby, when does it stop for others? Like Sean Strickland and Dracus du Plessis, their press conference as well went far beyond where it needed to go. Like, where does it stop? Where does it end? And I think the reason why these fighters are doing that is because they've seen the likes of other trash talkers in the past get rewarded. But what they don't realize is those trash talkers didn't always step over the line as much as these guys are. And I think for it to stop, I think the UFC has to kind of take a step and look and go, we got to stop rewarding these guys or thinking these guys can get rewarded for saying these things. Otherwise, it's going to continue to happen. And do you know what? It's going to get worse. But look, I'm off my soapbox now. Back to the fight. Now, everyone knows me. I wanted Leon to win this fight. It's from Britain, Jamaican roots. It was a given. I wanted him to win. I predicted he'd win 4-1, which is what happened. What I didn't predict, though, is for it to be as easy and as one-sided as it was. I thought it'd be 4-1, but I also thought it'd be a very tough fight. Leon won that fight without getting out second gear and made it look easy. Going into the fight, I said he should be hitting his front leg. They're both southpaws. You got a perfect opportunity in the same way that Dustin Poirier did to Conor McGregor. Perfect. You do that. You slow Colby down. You take away his ability to spring into takedowns, and you keep the range that you want to keep. Colby fought Leon today in a kickboxing fight. You're not beating Leon Edwards with kickboxing. But what we did see from Leon is, again, his wrestling. If I'm not mistaken, Colby got 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 8 takedowns. That's insane. 1, that he only shot 8 times in the whole fight, but 2, he only got 1 or 2 in total. That is phenomenal. Leon Edwards took Colby Covington down. Leon Edwards was competing with Colby Covington on the ground. Leon Edwards is the real deal. Not the loudest in the room, but at the moment, he's definitely the best. And I'm looking forward to seeing who they matchmaking with next and where he goes next. It should be Bilal Muhammad. It should have been Bilal Muhammad at 296, but it wasn't. He definitely deserves his shot. We'll see if it happens. As for Colby Covington, I mean, after his fight, he spoke about saying he wants another title shot and he believes he won the fight. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're 3-3 in your last 6 fights. 3 title shots, 3 losses. Very rarely do fighters get a 4th title shot. In fact, I can't think off the top of my head now, just speaking to you guys, of a title of a fighter who got a 4th title shot. He's got to do some work in this division now. He can't just be sitting on the sideline, take a fight here when it strategically works for him, and then get a title shot again. Them days are done now. If Colby's going to get a title shot again, he's got to win at least 3 fights. Has to. He has to. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Look, we'll even stay in the UFC. He could go to the WWE. May suit him better. So time will tell there. We will see. On to the co-main event. Going into this fight, everyone said, look, Pantoja was an animal. We saw him against Brandon Moreno. Probably one of the only fighters who's matched Brandon Moreno in terms of pace and output. And he got the victory on that night, and deservedly so. Going into this fight, the talk was, look, Royval's running 10 miles in 6 minutes, and he knows how to keep the fight at range. He's got excellent jiu-jitsu, and all those things were true. But Pantoja is just a different beast. He's a different animal. And we saw that at UFC 296. He was nothing short of phenomenal. And I say this because I also think Royval was very good. But he was just against a fighter who was on a whole nother level. He is so relentless. Pantoja flew out the gate. And I think in round 4, I sat there and I was going to Luke and James. I was saying, he might be gassing out here. Did he know? The takedowns were timed brilliantly. The control was brilliant. He's got everything. He's got everything. I mean, I think he sits back and waits now to see who wins out of Moreno and I can't remember his name, but Moreno's opponent in Mexico. I think he sees who wins that and potentially fights that person next. But it's going to take a tough man and a very skillful man to take that belt away from Pantoja. He is that damn good. Onto the another man who's that damn good, and that is Shavkat. Going into the fight, 17 wins, 17 finishes. We all knew Stephen Wonderboy was up against it. And he held his own in the first round. Held his own, stopped the takedowns, landed a couple of strikes, didn't take anything significant. But when Shavkat got him down and started wrestling, there's levels to this. And Wonderboy's not even rubbish. But Shavkat's that damn good. He made it look easy on the ground. And that is only the second time, if I'm not mistaken, that Wonderboy has been stopped in his MMA career. Put that into context, some of the people he's fought. Tyron Woodley twice. Gilbert Burns. Only Pettis and now Shavkat can say they've stopped him. And I'll be honest, you look at that top 5. Usman's had 2 shots at Edwards, lost both. Colby just had another shot at the title, just lost. Gilbert hasn't won a fight recently. Bilal's getting the next title shot, it seems. And then he's number 5. He could be knocking on that door. I don't even know if he needs another fight before he fights for the title. If Leon Edwards and Bilal turn around quite quick, Shavkat doesn't need to take another fight. But if you're looking at the rankings, I mean, Shavkat could go for Colby, could go for Usman, it could go for Gilbert. Either way, Shavkat might be the next superstar at welterweight. And we've got a fantastic champion in Edwards, but Shavkat could be that kryptonite. He is good. He's brilliant. And I'm really intrigued to see how the rest of his career develops. And speaking about careers, 2 ends of the spectrum between Paddy the Baddie Pimblett and Tony Ferguson. And it was as expected. Pimblett did get the win. It's just hard watching Ferguson now. I'm a massive Tony Ferguson fan, and I was one of the few who went out on a limb and said, I think Tony Ferguson in his prime would have beaten Khabib when they were due to fight. I still maintain that. But this version of Ferguson isn't that. And look, I know I keep on saying, I go back to that Gaethje fight. He shouldn't have cut weight twice in a week, and then the amount of damage he took in that fight, he's never been the same since. Ferguson's never gun shy or anything like that. And he wasn't at 296. He's just overmatched. He seemed a lot slower, less durable, and just doesn't have that presence anymore. He doesn't have that fear factor, or opponents thinking, geez, I'm fighting Tony Ferguson. Now people are thinking, I can make a name of this. Paddy's thinking, I can make a name of this. And you know what? Paddy went in there and was very, very professional in his approach. That's the most mature performance we've seen from Paddy Pimblett. And I'll be honest with you, coming out of the Jared Gordon fight and the week he had in the lead up with the whole Ariel Helwani back and forth, he was losing fans and he was gaining a reputation of not being a great person. I think he's starting to change that narrative back. This whole week leading up to the fight, he's been extremely professional, respectful. They obviously had their back and forth for the press conference, but that was sparked by Tony Ferguson starting that. And then in the cage after the fight as well, humble, said the right things. We could be seeing a new Paddy, a Paddy 2.0 as such. And I'm intrigued to see it. Do I still think he'll be a champion? I don't know. It's really hard to say. That 55-pound division is really tough. Can he break the top 15? Yeah. And I think maybe he gets like a Grant Dawson next. Someone who's more of a wrestler, less of a striker. And I think he could break that top 15. And once he's in that top 15, he's going to be hunted because he's a big name. But it gives him some scope to make some moves and see if he can make a run at that title. Because if he makes a run at the title, then he does get it. He's going to prove a lot of naysayers wrong, including myself. He's also going to have a massive fan base behind him as well. So let's watch this space and see what happens with Paddy. And then we wrap up with the first fight on the main card, and that is Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. Very tentative affair until a devastating strike by Josh Emmett. And look, we as MMA fans, we're here. We're here for the knockouts. We're here for the submissions. We're here for the back and forth fights. And I've seen a lot of KOs in my life, whether it be in real life or on the telly watching UFC or boxing. That was one of the worst. And you're looking at the actual KO itself, it's a punch that connects beautifully. That's not the bit that's devastating. The bit that devastates me is seeing a man having a seizure effectively on the UFC mat. And this is why I, as a fan, always like to give these fighters respect. When I see people calling them like things like bitch and quitters, and I'm like, well, you've never fought. You never stepped into a ring or an octagon. I've never fought or stepped into a ring or an octagon. I've sparred. I may say stuff about people's characters, but as fighters, we got to show these guys respect. They put their lives on the line every time they go in there to provide us with entertainment. And look, Bryce came up short tonight. I pray to God that there's no lasting damage there. And I hope he recovers and he comes back fit, firing, and strong. As for Josh Emmett, though, this was huge for him. A late notice replacement, but he needed this win. There was talk of retirement going into this fight. And Josh Emmett showed just why he's such a dangerous man in this division. So shout out to Josh Emmett. Be interesting to see who he's matched with next, who he fights next. And same with Bryce. But all in all, how would I score this card? I'd probably give this card I'd probably go a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. It's a good card. Good card. I'm over the moon with Leon's win. I think it would have been really hard to digest Colby as a champion. And Leon's a likable guy. And plus, with what was said, I think justice prevailed. So we'll see what happens next from this. The last pay-per-view of 2023. God willing, we're all all right to see what happens in 2024. But people, I humbly ask you, please like the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, switch on notification bell. We'll be back on Tuesday for Combat Catch-Up. And people, till we see you then, thank you very much for watching. You take care. Bye-bye.